So you know how in that last video I said I don't really, talk about DC comics and like the, big two and all that. But today we're talking about DC comics. Well, I mean, I did say I pay attention. I keep an eye out, and that's exactly why we're talking about them in this episode. They're at it again. You may have seen this already. You might not have. DC obviously released that terrible Justice League Suicide Squad game. Didn't play it. Didn't feel the need to. Saw all I needed to see. But it's a live service game, so obviously over time they're releasing updates. I don't know why. They should give up on it if you ask me. And they're introducing new playable characters and rehashing the missions, and it is what it is. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because they sorry, it's stupid. It's very stupid. They added Mrs. Freeze. Not Mr. Freeze, Mrs. Freeze. Okay? So it's Mr. Freeze, except he's now a stereotypical, like, early thousands caricature of a butch lesbian, which is great. Mrs. Freeze. And I looked at that and I had one thought. And you've seen all the headlines. You've seen people getting outraged about this. Whatever, I don't care. They're going to do this, regardless whether people like it or not, clearly. But I immediately just looked at my screen and I thought to myself, why not Killer Frost? You know, that female ice villain who was canonically a member of the Suicide Squad, who was in a Suicide Squad movie. You know that one? The female with the ice powers? Yeah? No? Killer Frost? No one at DC stopped and thought, why are we wasting all this time trying to redesign Mr. Freeze and make him into what is frankly an insulting caricature? Like, I'm sure there's a lot of lesbians out there who saw that design and rolled their eyes and went, really, guys? And they sounded like their voices just as deep as that. But yeah, I just couldn't help but think, like, okay, so you've got an ice villain who is a canonical member of the Suicide Squad, who has, like, you could turn around and go, but nobody knows who Killer Frost is. Everyone knows Mr. Freeze. Well, the last time Mr. Freeze was, like, the main character in anything was George Clooney Batman, Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's where everyone knows Mr. Freeze from who aren't hardcore fans. Other than that, villain in the Arkham games and was in Gotham. I think he was in Gotham. I think I stopped watching it around the time they started tackling that. Okay. Whereas Killer Frost was in the animated movies, was in the Injustice video game, was in, like, Justice League, like Justice League Unlimited cartoon, was in The Flash, and, like, The Flash was super popular among normies, like, very successful show, 7 seasons? So it was a mainstay in The Flash. Killer Frost already has, like, the punk girl aesthetic with, like, the side hawk and all that, and you could easily, like, if you wanted to be stereotypical, be like, yeah, here you go, here's your punky alternative hip looking, female villain who's already a member of the Suicide Squad. But they chose to make Mr. Freeze Mrs. Freeze, which makes no sense. Like, now you have to retcon a bunch of stuff and change a bunch of things, and, like, you piss off all the fans when you could have just added Killer Frost and everyone would have gone, oh, that's cool. Killer Frost is part of the Justice League. Wonder what her abilities are going to be. And you could have started winning back people's favor. But no, they went with Mrs. Freeze. Yeah. That's mostly the video, but I'm going to talk about another thing that DC did, which had me raising a similar question. I saw the trailer for the new, like, Batman animated cartoon they're doing, which I can't even remember the name of at this point. And I did not like the Batman. Everyone knows that, and I mean, it's a terrible movie. What's there more to say? But they're doing this animated thing. Matt Reeves has something to do with it, so I was a bit hesitant. But visually, I like the costume and the art style, and I was like, okay, I'll see what they do with this one so far. Like, other than the things they did in the Batman movie, nothing sort of standing out as like egregious. That was the initial like trailer they did. Fast forward a couple weeks or about a month or so, and they reveal that Oswald Cobblepot the Penguin is now Oswalder Cobblepot the Penguin. And they've gender swapped the Penguin and made her look like everyone's grumpy, overweight mother-in-law. But yeah, so now we have a female Penguin. And I saw that, and I kind of internally laughed, and I thought to myself, okay, as a creative person and as a writer, why? What does changing Penguin to female add to this story somehow? What does it take away from the story? Where does it limit you? Where does it creatively free you up to do interesting things? And I couldn't think of any. And then I thought, what would I have done? Okay, so we who is the Penguin? Well, the Penguin is essentially like Bruce Wayne's counterpart. He's a mega rich person, but unlike Bruce Wayne, was not gifted in the looks or the physicality department. Depending on which comics you read, etc., there's like some childhood beef between them, etc. Oswald blames Bruce for stealing his family's fortune. There's all sorts of things like that. Okay, which is fine. And essentially, he doesn't have superpowers. He's a mobster who's short and fat, with an umbrella that he can fly with, and in some versions has an army of trained birds, and another version has some attractive ladies, like most mobsters do, that hang off his shoulder and do his bidding for him. That's the Penguin, and I thought, okay, so what is the Penguin bringing to this story, or Oswalder in this situation? I couldn't really and what would I do if I wanted to bring a similar element to it? And I went immediately to one character, Sophia Falcone. If you've seen the Long Halloween, which is like where she's sort of introduced, or if you know your Batman, there's the Falcone and oh my god, what's the one that starts with M? I can't remember now, but there's the two. I don't edit these videos, as you guys know. I just ramble. And sometimes people get mad and they leave comments about me rambling, and I don't give a fuck. Go watch someone else's shit. Anyway, you've got the Moroni. You've got the Falcone and the Moroni family, so the two Italian mob families, and they're always butting heads and fighting each other. Sophia Falcone is the daughter, obviously, of the Falcone family. She, in the spoiler alert, when Mr. Falcone meets his untimely demise, Sophia takes over the reins. For those who don't know, read The Long Halloween, but for those who don't know, it's Harvey Dent and his wife who are doing like these killings under the guise of this thing called the Holiday Killer, and like Sophia Falcone, who is like she's the most inconsistently depicted character in DC Comics. If there are any other inconsistently depicted characters, like post them down below. It's always funny. But essentially speaking, like she's big, muscular, or buxom in some iterations, but not unattractive. It's hard to explain, but you'll see. Dare I say, almost like a modern day Gina Carano style appearance. Someone's gonna get mad at me for that. But if I had wanted an actress to play Sophia Falcone, Gina Carano would, if she was like, hey, I'll do this, I would look at her and go, well, you fit the profile, let's give it a go. But yeah, so Sophia Dent. Now, why am I talking about Sophia Dent instead of the Penguin? Well, she's the matriarch of a crime family. Her whole shtick is that she has a bone to pick. She's hunting down the person who killed her father, and she does so under the villain name of the Hangman. I because of her appearance, etc. I won't talk into like the specific details here. There are old comics you can read if you want to know more. But the people she's so she actually starts killing like cops and things like that that are associated with Harvey Dent, um, and the team that were taking down her father. And obviously, Batman is doing his thing to figure out who this hangman is and why these cops are being killed, and like trying to get to the bottom of it too. And I thought to myself, like, so you've got this female who ticks diversity boxes. She was drawn like in 1996, but she ticks the diversity boxes. Um, and she's got a very interesting story that to the day of recording this video has not been tackled yet. I'll get to that. Other than in the Long Halloween, like the animated movie that they did and the original comic run. And it's like a very sort of interesting story that you could really stretch out along like a season of a cartoon series and allow Batman to do his detective stuff, and it ends kind of heartbreaking in a weird way, and you could really pull at heartstrings and make people empathize with this character. And I just thought, why not bring her into this new cartoon and have like, instead of like taking the Penguin that we know away and trying to retcon it into this thing, because now you've got Sophia Dent and you've still got the Penguin, who can do all the things, but you haven't pissed off the fan base and you're giving them something new that they haven't had yet. And I keep saying yet because I know that the Penguin TV series quite literally is this idea. Somehow, they like the Penguin TV series set in Matt Reeves' universe has actually gone with, the Penguin from the movie and Sophia Falcone getting out of Arkham. And, I assume that's where they're going with that one. And that's super cool that they're doing that. And some people might say, well, because they're doing it in the live action, they're not going to do it in the cartoon. But I mean, it's two sides of the same coin. In one way, that's boosting this story so that you can do it in the cartoon and not have it feel too foreign. And in the other way, I get it. Like you might go, well, it's, why watch the cartoon if the TV series is going to do the same thing? But they're not really going to do the same thing. One is set in the Batman live action universe, and the other is its own entity. But yeah, I just think it's redundant what they're doing. I think it doesn't benefit the storytelling in any way. And as a writer, I'd be embarrassed to have been taking such shortcuts when you have the opportunity to really challenge yourself and present something new and interesting to an audience instead of just giving Mr. Freeze spiky hair and calling him Mrs. Freeze. Like, I just think it's stupid. And I would say, I would ask you guys why you think they're doing this, but there's no point in asking. We know why they're doing it. We know who these losers are. They're not going to change based on our feedback because that game has lost $200 million and they keep trying the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And it's just, it's tragic, but it is what it is. And I just wanted to throw my 2 cents into the puddle as to what I would have done. And yeah, let me know. Is my idea better? Should DC hire me to come up with these ideas for them? Like, just run them by me first and I'll give them a thumbs up or a thumbs down and some guidance as to what they should do? Or should I just stay out of it? I mean, I practically do stay out of it anyway, and it's not like anyone from DC is going to watch this video. And focus on my own thing, which is, what I do 90% of the time. But anyway, that's it. That's the video.